Thanks be to God. We've now arrived at the preaching moment, that sacred kairos moment, time out of time, where we knock on the pearly gates of heaven and beckon a word from the Lord. Will you pray with me? Lord, let the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight. O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. Being a kid from Florida makes you special in all sorts of ways. As many of you know, I was born in a small rural country town in North Florida called Perry, about 50 miles southeast of Tallahassee, which is the capital. And I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, in the northeast corner of the state of Florida. And as a Florida kid in school, we had some things that were similar to most other kids around the country. For instance, we had fire drills. And several times throughout the year, we would practice what to do when the fire alarm went off. We practice how to drop our stuff and form a single file line and head for a pre-identified exit. But we often knew when the fire drill would be scheduled, so when the alarm went off, we all exclaimed, "Yes!" because we were excited for the disruption in the day's schedule. And although we followed the protocol, we would still be laughing and giggling and talking to our classmates as we exited the building. Now, as a Florida kid, though, we didn't just have fire drills. We also had hurricane drills. And the protocol for a hurricane drill were the exact opposite of a fire drill. For fires, you need to get out of the building because the building is dangerous and the outside is safe. For hurricanes, the outside is dangerous and safety can be found in the building. When the hurricane alarm went off, you would file out into the interior hallways of the school. You would fold yourself over onto your knees and cover your head and your neck with your hands. Anybody know what I'm talking about? But even during hurricane drills, you would still hear giggling and laughter, as these drastic motions did seem a bit silly, absent clear and present danger. But whether a fire drill or a hurricane drill, all of the laughter and horseplay would stop when the alarm would sound and the principal would come over the PA system and say, "This is not a drill." I repeat, this is not a drill. Then our training would kick in, and we knew exactly what to do to protect ourselves and to protect each other. Well, friends, no matter how you felt about the results of last week, one thing is abundantly clear to me. The alarm has sounded, and church, this is not a drill. It is even clearer now that our country has two totally different visions of the world. Some of us woke up Wednesday morning feeling that their nightmare had come true. And some of us woke up Wednesday morning feeling that their dream had come true. Some felt like we elevated a set of values that are disgraceful, inhumane, and un-American. And some felt like we're now back on the right track. Some woke up thinking our children will have less rights and freedoms than we do. And some felt like the future is now brighter. Some woke up thinking we have taken enormous, gargantuan steps backward, and some woke up thinking we can finally move forward. Some of us had a pep in our step, and some of us wept bitterly. The depth of this divide is devastating. And last week was less about what is said about either candidate and is more about what it says about us. The division, this inability to see each other, to hear each other, to understand each other constitutes, in my view, a crisis, an emergency. The alarm is sounding, and this is not a drill. So, it's my job to bring some good news. A hell of a job, but it's the one I got. I want us all to remember, we've been training for this. Just like when a fire alarm or a hurricane alarm goes off, we know the protocol. And this little book that we read every week, and some of us every day, has prepared us for this. We have our emergency protocol. And the people of God have found themselves in the dark night sky of their history with similar division. They have found themselves deeply divided. They were in a situation where the people of God were just going through the motions, phoning it in, until the alarm sounded. In the 58th chapter of the prophet Isaiah, we find a people who have just been ticking off the boxes, giggling and horseplay. And then they start complaining to God that things aren't going their way. And God says to Isaiah, go down to them and shout out to them. Do not hold back. Lift up your voice like a trumpet. Announce to my people their rebellion. What is God saying to Isaiah? Go down there and sound the alarm. And tell my people that this is not a drill. There is some humor here because God is saying, now you're complaining? This people who have been phoning it in are now complaining as if they practiced righteousness? Did you see that in the text? As if they practice righteousness? Ask them if they didn't forsake my laws of love. They claim they've been fasting all this time, but they haven't been fasting for me, God says. They go through this religious ritual to serve their own interest. They are arguing and fighting with each other. They are committing acts of violence. They are still oppressing and trash-talking those who are most vulnerable. This fasting, this religious ritual that they're doing is not for me. It's for them to look good And God is saying they can use the label Christian all they want. They can wave in the air the same Bible if they want. And they can call themselves a Christian nation when it suits them. But God is saying, ain't nobody got time for that. God is saying, you want to know how I determine if your religious ritual is genuine or not? Empty or not? Isaiah 58 verse 6 says, tell me the last time you loosed the bonds of injustice. Tell me the last time you made decisions to alleviate the burden of those suffering the most. Tell me the last time you let the oppressed go free. Tell me the last time you shared your bread with the hungry and brought the homeless under some shelter. God says, y'all haven't been doing that. Not for real. Many of y'all have been going through the motions and ticking the boxes. Well, now, friends, we're in a break glass situation because we're in an emergency of division, and this is not a drill. God is not confused about what needs to be done. We've been training for this. We know the protocol. And God says once the people of faith, the people of goodwill, the people of the light rally together, God says, if you remove the yoke from among you and stop pointing the finger and speaking of evil, if you offer your food to the hungry and satisfy the needs of the afflicted, then your light shall rise in the darkness, and your gloom will be like the noonday. The Lord will guide you continually and satisfy your needs in parched places and make your bones strong. And you shall be like a watered garden, like a spring of water, whose waters never fail. Your ancient ruins shall be rebuilt, and you shall raise up the foundations of many generations, and you shall be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of streets to live in. Did you catch that? You shall be called repairers of the breach. That means there is nothing so broken that God can't fix. And the hands that God chooses to fix those things, those hands are ours. This division, this disconnectedness can be fixed. We are called to be repairers of the breach on all sides. Right now, historians have one big thing to write about when it comes to November 2024. They can write about how a deeply divided country went to the polls one evening, and the following morning, half woke up in despair and half woke up rejoicing. Right now, that will be the biggest headline out of November 2024. But what if there could be another headline? An even bigger headline? What if last week triggers the largest coalition of people of goodwill, people of faith, people of the light, people of love to rally together to say, we will not let this be a season of darkness? Amen. What if this is the catalyst for every compassionate person from sea to shining sea to get off the couch and get in the game? What if it mobilizes the largest army of love-centered folk in U.S. history? No, don't go to the Peace Corps overseas. Stay right here and do your peace work here. No, don't just enlist in the army to fight dictators abroad. Also suit up right here and fight dictatorship right here. We will protect the vulnerable right here, and we will not give hate an inch right here. We can make history right here and right now. We can collectively decide that the election of 2024 isn't the biggest headline. We can show that when America is lied about, that she comes roaring back. She says, stop lying about me. I do care about immigrants who built this country. She says, stop lying. I do care about the rights of women. Stop lying. I do protect those on the margins, our LGBTQIA children. Yeah, I care about them. She says, stop lying about me. Compassion and generosity are still deeply held values in my heart. America says she's tired of being lied on. She says, I meant it when I said, give me your tired and your poor. Stop lying on me. I meant it when I said that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all humans are created equal. Yeah, I meant that. I meant it when I said this government has to be of the people, by the people, and for the people.
Amen. Amen.
She says, I meant that. I meant that. So I am calling on all people of faith. I'm calling on all people of goodwill. I'm calling out all the light bearers, all the love warriors, all the peacekeepers to unite, to come together, to take our places. The emergency protocol has been triggered, the alarm has sounded, and this is not a drill. If ever you were going to be more loving to your neighbor, if ever you were going to try to heal a rift in a friendship or in your family, now is the time. If ever you were going to start your project to help the most vulnerable, if ever you were going to get up and go help somebody on the margins, now is the time. If ever you were going to volunteer at a soup kitchen or join Habitat for Humanity or donate and participate in a church or a ministry, now is the time. If ever you were going to bake cookies or a pie or bread and take it to your neighbor, now is the time. If ever you were going to take someone out for dinner who was having a bad day to show them that they are loved and not forgotten, now is the time. Whatever light there is inside of you, if you've been timid before, if you've been reticent or hesitant before, it's time. It's time to get on the field. It's time to get in the game. And if we're entering a dark night sky, let us remember that there are always stars in that night sky. So if we're entering a dark night sky, we need every bright star that we can find. So many stars that it might even be difficult to tell night from day. And as Isaiah says, then your light shall rise in the darkness, and then your gloom will be like the noonday. Friends, the alarm has sounded, and this is not a drill. We know what to do. Let's get to it. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're here.
Amen.
Thank you. Got your back.
Amen.
We need each other. and the people on the margins, the most vulnerable. They need us now more than ever. We don't have to form a church. We don't have to write a book. We don't have to create hymns. We have all that. We just have to recommit ourselves to the work in a way that's deeper and wider. It's game time, friends. This is not a drill. Amen.